With the growing frequency of extreme weather events due to climate change, how can the cities of the future continue to thrive despite these events? Or even better, because of these events? We get used to the idea of cities being unmoving, unchanging beasts due to the rigid nature of our urban environments. But as cities like Footscray would know, nature and landscapes are not so rigid. Footscray experienced severe flooding, homes were damaged, connectivity disrupted, people displaced, millions in damages, tons of waste. So we ask, how will Footscray of the future thrive alongside periods of flooding and drought? So what are we up against? 1. Footscray's population is forecasted to double and then some by 2051. 2. This means doubling the water use, additionally draining 1,720 Albert Park Lake equivalents a year. 3. The worst case scenario for sea level rise by the year 2100 could be as much as 2 metres. 4. Flooding will be more extreme and in shorter bursts. The 2022 flood, a 2 in 100 year flood, rose the water level by over 4 metres. 5. Droughts will be longer, drier and more devastating. What's there now? The floodplain area is largely put aside for public park and recreation uses. This is so when the river floods, the infrastructure impacted is minimal. This is a good but one-dimensional approach. Could we have layered and varied use on the waterfront while still retaining the public green space? The Flemington Wall is a well-hated flood prevention strategy that diverts the floodwater elsewhere that would have otherwise settled on a natural floodplain. Precedents include 26 Cairn Street, Brisbane, the Rainwater Harvesting Leaf Pavilion, Kongmin Islands in Kuncha Master Plan, and different instances of floating architecture and gardens. So what are we proposing? In Footscray, we will reclaim the riverfront, bringing the density and layered use to the water's edge where the community want to be. We'll do this by incorporating raised footpaths, water capture and storage, sunken spaces, wetlands, light touch infrastructure, green streets, bioswales, enhanced biodiversity, and floating structures. The aim is to decrease risk to people and property during extreme flooding events, while also enabling the capture of water from these periods of excess rain and flooding to then store and reuse it for dry periods. A master plan will be designed and implemented in stages, starting with Stage 1. Stage 1 will improve the water retention of the existing wetlands reserve and introduce medium density close to the reserve and river. The medium density area integrates water capture structures within the buildings to capture and store rainwater. This water supply will be shared for domestic use within the community. The garden areas will collect, store and clean water from rain and flood for irrigation back into the wetlands and landscaped areas. This includes underground tanks for reticulation, similar to Johnston Park Rain Garden in Geelong. The solution will increase green spaces, including green roofs. The sunken public spaces allow for community engagement while also acting as a water catchment in the event of a flood. Floating architecture is also proposed to accomplish a livable and adaptable city, providing housing for those in affected zones, but also providing for communal recreational activities and emergency response. It is also scalable to reflect the need, particularly during flooding events. Floating gardens will cultivate plants on buoyant platforms. These floating gardens can help to improve water quality of their host river or lake, require less maintenance and watering, and also provide habitats for above and underwater animals, including biodiversity refuges during flooding events. And this is Fluctuate Footscray.